Hi everyone, Kathy Rose here, and I'm going to talk to you about the astrological patterns for January 2026. The mandala on screen is for Capricorn, and if you tune into the energy of this, you're going to be really experiencing this wave of super productive energy that we're going to have for about the first 3 weeks of the month. I'm going to talk about that as we go through this video, but it's offering us a very special opportunity. All right, so let me begin by just making sure you know that I have a big 2026 yearly forecast that I'm releasing on December 29th. My co-presenter this year was Agnes Bolesne, and she is an amazing feng shui master. And what Agnes brings to the presentation is that she's going to be talking about the flying stars, the annual flying stars in feng shui, which are like transiting energies that happen in your house. So she's going to provide us with the information for 2026 of where to enhance your house and how to do that, and how the energies are moving in your home to make the best life force you can have in your home. I'm going to be talking about the astrology, and Agnes is also a gifted astrologer, so she's chiming in on this too. Now, this presentation was only 2 hours long, so carve out some time. We go through the entire year and we talk extensively about the year of the fire horse. And let me just say, 2026 is a very important phase change. So I invite you to watch this, and I hope you will tune in and enjoy. The themes for January. So let's drill down into just this one month. First of all, let me wish you a very, very happy new year. Although, the new year does technically begin in January, but particularly for 2026, we're going to be feeling it more in February. Not only because that's the Chinese New Year with the fire horse coming in, but also because Saturn and Neptune finally make the conjunction in Aries and leave behind Pisces, and that begins a new cycle. More about that later. For January, we have a theme of enhanced productivity and planning. This is a very, very special opportunity because we're going to have Mercury, Venus, and Mars traveling through Capricorn, and offering us an opportunity that we need to utilize. More about this in a moment. Later in the month, those very planets that were in Capricorn all move into Aquarius, and this offers us very helpful humanitarian flow. And that's another very special opportunity. And then later in the month, Neptune enters Aries, leaving behind this long transit in Pisces. And that begins a new cycle of spiritual self-sufficiency. So I'm going to talk about that in a moment also. All right, so let's begin with the first lunation of January, which is the full moon in Cancer. This is happening early in the month, January 3rd at 5:03 a.m. Eastern Time. This chart is set for Washington, D.C. So the first thing, if you look in the first and second house, you're going to see Mercury, Venus, Sun, and Mars all sitting together in Capricorn, and that's making quite the statement. And the Sun is opposite the Moon, which is what a full moon is all about. And the Moon is in Cancer, and Mars is also involved there very much. So when we talk about Moon in Cancer, this is a very, very nice moon. The moon loves being in Cancer because it thrives. And this is the nurturing moon. Even though we're going to have all this very practical, earthy energy from Capricorn flowing, we need to remember to nourish ourselves and nurture ourselves and inflow as we work hard. And that's what this moon is about. It's sitting there with Jupiter in Cancer, also wanting to expand that very thing. So for this full moon in Cancer, be very, very aware of what nourishes and fulfills you. Be very aware of your inflow and outflow balance. Most people outflow more than they inflow. So breathe, take time to nurture yourself, take time to comfort yourself. And the other thing about Moon in Cancer, this is a perfect time to be spending time in your home, whether that is organizing and cleaning and making it sparkling with life force or cooking. I mean, one of the great things you can do with Moon in Cancer is make a meal, fill your house with fantastic aromas and healthy energy, and then fill that meal with love as you are cooking it, creating it. And then when you eat it, you'll feel it. So nourish your family, nourish yourself, host a little party, and cook for your friends. You know, this is a wonderful time to be doing that. One more thing about this lunation. I've talked several times about the fact that when we see planets on angles in a lunation chart, and the chart is set for a particular country, as this is for the United States, it usually suggests that there's going to be some activity happening in that country. And we don't know exactly what, but it's Saturn and Neptune sitting down there in the fourth house cusp. Now, we've had quite a bit of flooding in December in the United States, especially up in the northwest part of the country. And Saturn and Neptune can certainly symbolize that. I'm not predicting anything disastrous happening here, but whether there is something happening with the government or something happening with weather patterns, something is calling my attention to this lunation in Cancer. So we'll see what's going on. Send your blessings. Send your blessings. Let's have something good happen. So now let me explain that Capricorn activation that we saw on the prior slide. We're going to have Mars, Venus, and Mercury transiting Capricorn, activating that energy. And what it activates is achievement, organization, efficiency, structure, planning, strategy. It gives us this wave of super productivity that we can tap into. And let me say this, if you have planets in Capricorn or angles in Capricorn, angles meaning the ascendant, the IC, the descendant, the midheaven, one of those four cardinal angles, then you are going to receive specific activation. It's like trigger energy that helps to move things forward. So, but even if you don't have angles or planets in Capricorn, this is in the air. Do something with this energy. This is cardinal energy that wants to have movement. So let's look at the dates. Mars entered Capricorn in the middle part of December and stays there until January 23rd. Mars is the action planet. It's the motivational planet, and it is super strong in Capricorn. Venus entered Capricorn on Christmas Eve, stays there until January 17th, and Venus is the social energy. Mercury entered Capricorn on New Year's Day, stays there till January 20th. So the bottom line is about the first 23 days of the month, this Capricorn sweep of energy is taking place. Excuse me. And this is an incredible opportunity to achieve. I mean, it really is. I would not miss out on this energy. So take action, ground this energy in a very practical way. Orient your thinking to practicality. The new moon in Capricorn continues this peak, very powerful peak of this super productive energy. The new moon in Capricorn is January 18th, 2:52 p.m. Eastern Time. And so Mars, Mercury, Sun, and Moon will be in Capricorn, and Venus will have just moved in to Aquarius. But we still have this powerful orientation of needing to work, needing to produce, needing to move things forward and make things happen. And as you can see on this slide, I have annotated a blue triangle here, and this is actually called a mini trine. So what's happening is the Capricorn planets are trining Uranus and Taurus, and then making a sextile to Neptune and Saturn. And this is very auspicious and very nice. It's an enhanced energy flow. So when we get to that middle part of the month, right around this new moon in Capricorn, please praise yourself for all the activity and all the effort and all the action you have been putting into your projects or your ideas or your life since January started. And you'll be feeling a very special kind of integration at this time. You don't want to miss this energy. It's beautiful, it's wonderful. Engage. Later in the month, we have this Venus, Mercury, Mars moving into Aquarius, and then it activates more of a helpful humanitarian focus. The energy moves from that grounded Capricorn, earthy energy, which is very practical, and cardinal modality, and it moves to Aquarius, which is fixed air. When it moves to Aquarius, then it enters more of the intellectual level, the thinking, and the connection with humanitarian energy, the fact we are all one, we are all connected, the human part. So here's the dates. January 17th, you saw this on the prior slide, Venus moves into Aquarius and stays there till February 10th. Mercury enters Aquarius on January 20th, stays there till February 6th. And Mars enters Aquarius January 23rd, stays there till March 3rd. So you see Mars moves slower. But this time frame from about the third week of January going until the early part of February, that's when the saturation in this Aquarius energy is the strongest. So if you have Aquarian planets, then you are going to receive this trigger energy, this activation energy for movement in your life. You know, these are called little bells, little bell activation. The big bells are the slower moving transits, slower moving planets. The little bells are these quick inner planets that pop the energy and help activity to happen. So if you have planets in Aquarius, you're going to get that pop of energy, or if you, especially if you have angles in Aquarius, because angles are even stronger, then you're going to get this. So just be ready if you have those Aquarian placements in your chart. And even if you don't, pay attention when we get to the last part of January and into early February, how there is a dynamic shift into thinking about our humanistic connections, the oneness that we have with each other. You're going to feel a shift. And then the big news really for January. On the 26th of the month, Neptune finally ends the long transit in Pisces for 14 years, actually a little over 14 years, and enters the sign Aries and will stay there for 14 years. And it's going to be made even louder in February when Saturn moves into Aries. Neptune goes first. And this is something I talk about in the 2026 forecast video. I talk about it throughout the year, that we have this orientation that comes in as Neptune enters Aries for self-sufficiency related to our spirituality, spiritual self-sufficiency. This is a deep and important concept. I would recommend you meditate on it a bit. To me, what this is saying is it is time to claim our spiritual capabilities. It is time to develop spiritual confidence and our ability to go directly to the universe or to the higher mind or to the infinite intelligence, whatever you call it, right? To your higher self, and get answers. So develop that confidence and ability and techniques to go within and get your own answers. This is what Neptune and Aries is going to focus on in the 2026 forecast video, I mentioned that the year of the fire horse with Neptune and Saturn triggering this Aries energy, and Uranus going into Gemini in April with Pluto and Aquarius already there. We have this amazing new orientation. It is a very powerful thrust for what I call internal locus of control. That's a psychological term. You can look it up. Internal locus of control is more of an orientation that I can change my life. I can take action and change my life. And Neptune in Aries begins this process, and it begins it first spiritually by saying, I don't have to go to anybody else for answers. I can first get them myself, or whatever somebody else says, I can run it through my own consciousness to see if I agree. It's a very different orientation than what we've had with Neptune and Pisces. Okay, so my final thoughts for the month. There is a change that starts to take place in 2026, and I'm very happy for it. What I've written here is perhaps the goal of astrology is not to predict the future as much as to mold the future through our choices and actions. Now, this is a thought that I live by as I do astrology. This is a very important concept to me. I get a lot of clients who will say, what does my chart say? Will I be moving this year? Does my chart say I'm going to be happy? Does my chart say I'm going to get married? And I always say the chart doesn't tell me what you are going to do or what you can or cannot do. The chart shows me or tells me your life purpose issues and the energies that are happening and how you can mold your future through choices and actions. Well, as Neptune goes into Aries and then Saturn and then Uranus and Gemini working with Pluto and Aquarius, I think this comes forward that we don't need our future predicted, that we create it with every step, but that we actually mold our future by our own choices. Again, internal locus of control. It's such an important theme that is going to move forward in 2026. So rather than looking to others to be our guru, I'm not saying anything negative about gurus, but or looking to channels or looking to psychics or looking to spiritual leaders to tell us what to think. We might be inspired by it, but we have to run it through our own consciousness, and that's what begins in 2026, especially in astrology. And the other thing for January is to really focus on courage. That's going to flow through the entire year. And I say, be courageous, risk a glorious success. This is a photo I took when I was in Sedona, Cathedral Rock. I used to, back in the 80s, before Sedona was as popular as it is now, before the trails were really developed in this rock formation, I used to lead a group of people up to the middle part, the saddle, as a hike in the middle of summer, and that would be our achievement hike. And it was arduous, it was tricky. Now it's much easier because they have actual trails. But I remember the courage and the risk to have a glorious success with that hike. That's why I chose this picture. But that's what January is about. Well, that's what 26 is about. Courage and action, action, action. I've said this before. I think I said it in the 2026 forecast video. When you think of 26, think of the word action glowing in golden letters with about 10 exclamation points after it. That's the theme for 26. Courageous action. Risking your vulnerability by pushing forward, and it will pay off. In January, remember the first half of the month, go ahead and use all of that Capricorn energy that is available and start the process of achieving or strategizing or building something new. Take action. Second half of the month or the second third of the month, maybe, or the third part of the month, use the Aquarius energy to connect with other people, to love one another, to look at the big picture for the humanitarian flow. But I wish you the very best. I'm sending you much love, many, many blessings for the new year, for January, for always. Be a strong, courageous, powerful soul. Know you are capable. We have an amazing year ahead of us. You want to jump in with both feet. So I look forward to seeing you for the February 2026 forecast and watch for the yearly forecast to be up on my YouTube channel December 29th. Bye for now.